guys follow it. If you are following to me, please echo it whenever I'm saying if you understand it or not. Okay.
Yes, we
Okay.
understand.
Now when the clients are trying to connect to your web services, right, there are a lot of issues. Like one of the major issue is, what if one of the server or a service goes down? Okay. Suppose if this particular service has gone down, and we would have configured it in a cluster, or we would have configured it through a proxy where it is directly pointing to all these services, right? There could be an issue where your clients, when they are trying to access that particular content, right, they may see that at times you're losing that content, you're not able to see it. That is one of the use case for your load balances. The another one is, uh, I hope you are aware that we are actually trying to do an L4 to L7 load balancing here, right?
Yes, I am aware of that. Yeah,
Okay.
L4 to L7.
Yeah. What about other folks? You are aware of what we are trying to do, trying to achieve here, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me know if you don't understand it. I'll make it very clear. What do you mean by L4 to L7 and load balancing here?
That
Now,
is L4 to L7.
yeah. So with your OSI layer, what happens is, you have your application layer, you have your session layer, okay. You have your transport layer here. You have your IP layer, have your data link layer, and basically you have your physical layer. There is one more layer, which is your session layer. You also have your presentation layer here, okay. Now what happens is, basically what we are trying to target here is, we have a tendency on your application delivery controllers to start using these particular communications in an effective way, okay. Most of the times I can say your L4 and your application layer is being used for your load balancing methods, okay. Now when I'm saying this, what I'm trying to say here is, when a user connects through, makes a session using a TCP layer, right? TCP session three-way handshake. We try to create something called a proxy layer, okay? Application proxy layer. Stop me if I'm jumping too fast on this topic. Let me know. I can even go in a very layman way, okay? I don't mind it. You need to understand this in a very basic way. Once you can understand this use case, right, whatever concepts I'm trying to give it here, you'll understand it in a very effective way.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Now what happens is, I'll again go, okay, in case if we don't have your application delivery controller, right, what happens is, your user directly connects to your application pool, okay, and he can get connected to one of your servers. But the major disadvantages of it is, if you know about something called session reuse, okay, you may not able to use that. There is something called application availability, wherein you cannot monitor your applications or services which are running here. If anything goes down, you have to manually take down that particular server from your application pool, which is difficult, okay. Understood?
Yeah, got it. When the service goes down, you have to just re-add it. That is what you are.
Yeah. See, apart from that, it takes care of a lot of things, okay. When we go through this course, right, probably you guys are already aware of it. Something called SSL offloading, your content switching, we can do it. There is something called GSLB, where through the data center you can load balance it. Through the data center you can achieve disaster recovery through it. Okay. Now, if someone says that all these things can be done through a web service, right? I don't deny it. It can be done, but not in an effective way. Okay. And moreover, when you talk about a server or an application traffic which is running here, right? The major role of your server is only to give the content which a user is asking, not to serve something on your application, not something on your transport layer. It needs to take care of these things. It cannot. You can't do everything on your network layer to take care of, I mean, put that roles on your server. It is difficult, and moreover, that is not something which is a practically or a smart way to do it. Okay,
Agree.
understood.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me know if anyone is not able to understand or follow up on this. I can even tell it in a very simple way.
It's understood.
Understood, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, see, on the prerequisites, right? I would ask you, as I'm talking about application and transport layer, as I'll be hitting on these things a lot, right? I would ask you to just go through any of your content where you have how a TCP protocol header looks like. Okay, this is very important. If you can have an understanding of your TCP protocol header, and the most important part is how does your TCP three-way handshake happens. Let me know if you have any question on this. Why I'm asking this point.
Okay. We have to answer this. Yeah. How this works.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. I'm not looking for an answer. See,
Yeah.
if you have a question, why do you want to learn about a three-way handshake here? I can tell you what is the importance here.
Yeah. Please can you tell?
Yeah. See, the most important thing is it is not about configuring a NetScaler here through this course. See, configuration of a NetScaler. You search any article, it gives you step by step. How do you configure on the NetScaler? It can be done. It's not an issue. The major important thing is if an issue comes or if you need to understand the flow, you need to understand how NetScaler is working, how NetScaler is doing load balancing through your L4 to L5, L7. Mostly you'll be touching your application traffic and the transport layer here.
Right.
Okay. And the most important part is you need to understand this, that your NetScaler, right, is trying to mimic itself like an application server here in front of your client. Okay.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
Okay. Any of you, let me know if you are not able to understand what I'm saying here. I can tell it in a better way. See, what happens is when you configure a load balance here, right? Okay. When you configure a load balance here, what happens is your client will never know about what application service he's trying to connect here. Everything comes and connects here. Your NetScaler makes a different TCP session from its backend snip to the backend application pool, whatever you have configured. We'll go through that, but these are basic things you need to understand. Okay. And when it does it, you need to understand how the TCP session has been created from the client to your NetScaler and how my NetScaler is creating another TCP session to my backend server. Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
And one more important thing which I would like to make you understand and learn about is if you can learn about HTTP ports, okay, basic thing of HTTP methods. Any question here?
Yeah. I have a question. What
Mhm.
do you mean by HTTP codes and HTTP method? Like.
Yeah, HTTP methods are your it could be a request method, it could be a response method. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay. In these, when you talk about request, right, I can say that it can be a HTTP GET request, okay,
Yes.
or a post request,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So there are a lot of examples. HTTP post, you have HTTP delete, lot of things. And responses, when you talk about, you'll have lot of response codes. Like if your content is available, you can say that it is 200 OK, which it gives it. If there is a redirect which happens, it gives you like 301 or 300 response codes. Okay. You need to understand who gives it. Okay. All these things you need to go through it. If you can't understand it, when you read about it, let me know. I can even have a very small session on taking how the HTTP codes work, how your HTTP methods work, the request and response codes, how it go on. All
It would
these
be better.
things,
It
yeah,
would be better if
I
you
can
can.
take it in my next session. Okay, I'll walk you through how these codes work. Okay, but you need to read about it, because from your end, if you don't read it,
Yeah, yeah.
once my session goes out, probably during my session you can understand, but during the whole course of sessions, right, you may feel
Mhm.
like you have lost it somewhere. Okay, this is very, very important. You need to understand how your TCP protocol header looks like, how does a three-way handshake happens, and about your HTTP codes and HTTP methods. Understood?
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
Can you give an example of HTTP codes? Like you have given about the methods, yeah? Some
Yeah.
example of codes.
Yeah. I can see one more thing which I would like to iterate you again and again. During my course, right, most of the times I'll be using something called Wireshark. Okay. Wireshark traces.
Yes.
Are you guys aware of it? How does it work? Let me know. I can even take a very small session how you can use Wireshark in a very effective way.
The thing is that I have installed the Wireshark, but it would be beneficial for us if you can also give an insight on
Awesome.
this on the
Awesome.
Wireshark. Yeah.
Hey, what about other folks? You guys are getting what I'm saying here, right? See,
Yes, yes,
I'll tell it very clearly. The reason why
Yes.
I've asked initially if you know or not, the reason why I skipped very basic things about NetScaler is, if as you are all aware of it, right? I'm completely customizing it to make sure you can learn it in a very effective way here. Okay, got it?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. So let me tell you a very basic things about you asked about HTTP codes, right? I'll
Yes.
answer it here. Okay, I can show you how the three-way handshake is happening here on this particular Wireshark trace. Okay, I can tell you uh, later on our next session, right? I'll be picking up the NetScaler traces, and we can walk through it. How exactly does your session connects from your client, and how exactly your NetScaler is making connection to the backend servers. Okay,
That would be great. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Now let me open that particular thing again. Now what I'm trying to show you here is when a
So,
client connects to your
sorry to
NetScaler.
sorry to interrupt you. Sorry to.
Mhm.
This is recording. Yeah. Is it
Yeah,
all?
it is getting recorded.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah,
Please for.
yeah. So when a client connects to your NetScaler, right, what happens is, this is a very basic thing which I wanted to make sure you understand it. Okay. Um, when a client connects to your NetScaler, there are two very basic things which happens. For any transactions, there are two ways of doing it, because for any of your traffic to pass through, you need to have your transport layer being defined and what protocol you are going to use it. Most of the times, 99% of the traffic, when it goes through HTTP, right, or I can say 100% of your traffic when it goes through your HTTP, which is your majority of the chunk being used for your application traffic, it uses TCP. Okay. Any questions here?
Yeah, I agree. TCP is the default protocol for
Okay.
NetScaler.
Now, in case if you are not using your transport layer as a TCP, there is another provision of using UDP. Okay. Now, the major difference between your TCP and UDP is TCP is a uh, reliable protocol. Okay. Or you can say it goes through your acknowledgements. Okay. UDP is not unreliable. I will talk you through it. Okay.
It will drop the packet. There is no guarantee. Like there is no
It doesn't
acknowledgement.
drop it. I'll tell you what happens with UDP. Okay.
Yeah,
See, when it comes to TCP, right, what exactly it does is before a session start, before an application traffic can be sent using your transport layer, right? TCP tries something like it does a three-way handshake. Okay. Are you guys understanding, right? Other folks, please acknowledge what I'm saying, whatever I'm saying here. Okay.
yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, the basic rule of using three-way handshake is during the three-way handshake, TCP tries to learn about the client and the server. This is what I can retrieve it from whatever I have read it. Okay. It tries to learn what is the bandwidth between your client and the server, how effectively I can send the traffic, and what all congestion algorithms I can use. There are a lot of things which TCP tries to learn during this three-way handshake. Now, what it does during this three-way handshake is it the client will initiate a SYN packet. Okay, whatever SYN packet it has sent, right, it will try to set up a lot of options in it, which are very important to learn. Now, in this options, the basic use case is it tries to tell to the server saying that these are the settings, these are the things which I'm coming out from my end. Let me know if you can understand these or not. Now, when a server sees this, it will send another SYNAC packet to the client saying that, I understand what you're saying. These are the settings which I am coming with. Let me know if you can understand it or not. Now, if client understands it, that's fine. It can send the final acknowledgement. If it does not, it will again try to initiate a SYN packet. This process will go on until your client and server are on the same page. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now
Yes.
this guy sends an acknowledgement for your SYNAC. Once this final acknowledgement has been received, they start sending your application traffic. In this case, I can say a HTTP GET packet goes out. Okay. Understood?
I have a question here. Like
Mhm.
you said that like there is a till the time the client is not understanding the
Mhm.
sync acknowledgement.
Mhm.
Let's say if he's the server sends something, the packet, yeah, and
Mhm.
the client is not able to understand. So
Mhm.
is there any kind of a drop, some kind of message will come in the Wireshark stating that this is dropped or something like that, a particular signal
Yes,
stating that
yes,
still
yes.
not able to communicate. Yeah,
It's
is
not
there
a
any?
signal. I'll walk you through that Warshak trace. Okay, what happens is
Yeah,
when a SYN is being sent and SYNAC when the client sends back, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
If it receives an error, right,
yeah.
there will be an immediate reset here.
Okay,
Something called a reset packet comes out. Okay,
okay,
and after the reset packet, again the SYN will be sent from the client.
okay.
Understood?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
if you are seeing too many reset packets, that means there is some issue with your communication between client and server.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is how your TCP works out. Okay. Now comparatively, when it comes to UDP, right, it is entirely different. UDP doesn't care about all these things. The moment your UDP starts, right? In this case, if I can say, if there is a voice packets, right, VoIP packets, or your DNS packets. For an example, where UDP is been predominantly been used, it doesn't care about any handshakes, nothing. The client, when he's sending the data, right, he will immediately start sending the applications traffic like DNS request, you'll see, and DNS replies. Okay, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is with your UDP.
yeah,
Understood?
yeah. Got it.
And I'm again reiterating it. All these things are very, very useful for me to make you understand, so that when I'm trying to walk you through the course, right, you understand the flows there, you understand how the application is being worked out. Now, all these things are very, very important when you're troubleshooting a session, troubleshooting an issue here. Okay, or if a new project starts, if someone asks you more questions about, I'm trying to load balance a specific application here, what are the best algorithms I can use? Okay, or
Yeah,
when you talk about, I have a server pool this much, what all things can be, uh, I can say that, utilized in a better way so that the performance is best when we are
right,
getting through NetScalers. Okay,
right, right.
understood? Any questions here?
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Got it.
now as you can see that with UDP, I will walk through another trace. I'll be downloading it, but we need to understand this 3C TCP and how your HTTP packets are working here. Okay, now I have a sample trace with me, which I have taken. This is not through NetScaler, but this is a very basic sample trace which I have taken. Uh, you guys can use something like this. I do, I download it through Wireshark sample traces. Okay, you go to your Wireshark wiki and you can search with any protocol here. So once you have any, like, you can search with a TCP packet how it works. Okay, these are various examples which your Wireshark gives it. Okay, and you can start downloading. I can download a UDP trace for you. We'll look into that later. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me walk you through how your TCP sessions look out. Okay. Now this is the important thing which is happening here. Okay. Now a client is trying to access this particular ethereal.com website and is trying to access some web page here. Okay. When he's trying to access it, you will have a HTTP GET going out from the client, and the server will be responding with a 200 OK here. Okay. Understood?
Yes, yes.
Now this is a plain text thing which you'll not understand much. The most important thing is when you open this trace, I will walk through you what all things which are TCP handshake is been you need to look at. Okay. Now your TCP has something called a source port, which is a dynamic port which is being used from your client. Okay. It has a destination port of 80. Uh, these all things are being placed from the client. I mean, the packet when it is being prepared, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The reason port 80 is being placed here is looking at your protocol, whatever you have configured or you're looking at. When you're working with a HTTP protocol, the default destination port will be port 80 here. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Now there will be a sequence number. What I've done is I have disabled, or I have placed something called a relative sequence number. I have masked it to 0, or the raw sequence number, or there will be a random sequence number which it will be selected here. Okay. And there are particularly some flags which are important. Uh, I would suggest please go through your TCP protocol headers for a while. After I have walked you through this, you can understand it in a very simpler way. These flags are very, very important, because if it is an initial SYN packet, you'll have this uh, hexadecimal, or your number which is set as 1 here in your SYN packet. Okay. If it is an acknowledgement or a SYNAC packet, right, there will be a different value being set here in a different place. Okay. And this is not a finish off packet. This is an initial SYN packet which is going out. Most important is your TCP options which are going out. In your TCP options, you specify what is the maximum segment size you are using when you're trying to transfer the data. Now this MSS value can be uh, exchanged between two entities. Like if a client says that I'm coming with 1460 bytes, right, and if the server is supporting a different byte size, your SYNAC, when he sends it, right, he'll send it with a different TCP option here, saying that I'm not supporting 1460. This is my MSS value which I'm coming with.
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay. Now the same values. So when you come to SYNAC, you'll see the source port as 80 because server is responding it, and the destination port as 3372 because that was the random value which was being selected from the client when he is coming out. Right? Understood?
Yeah, the dynamic port which the client has selected.
Yeah. And once your SYNAC has been exchanged, client will send a final uh, act saying that I accept whatever you're saying. Let's start exchanging the data here. Understood?
But yeah,
Now they have said that the window size will be 9966660, which is the calculated window size. And see, initially this may be difficult for you to digest, but this will be doing it every day. I can promise you that every session, wherever it is possible, whenever we are placing some configuration on the NetScaler, whenever we are learning how the load balancing is happening, I will make sure you'll have a trace to understand how it works.
that would be great. Yeah.
Okay. Now, once your three-way handshake has happened, what your client, just make sure your client is coming. This is also very important. Your client is coming with a public IP, and your destination also has a public IP here. Okay. It all depends. If your application is hosted internally, you'll see a different source IP, which will be a private IP address, a different client IP, and a destination could be your private IP address again. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when your initial HTTP GET packet comes out, right, I would suggest your TCP is already been looked at. Let's start looking at your HTTP packet here. Okay. Now in your GET packet, this is what you're trying to understand, or you're trying to retrieve it from your server. This is the particular web page you are looking from the server. You're asking the server to give this particular web page to you. Okay. Which you'll see it in your GET header. Okay. And it says the request method is GET. This is the URL, or the base URL which you are trying to understand or try to retrieve it. This is the version which you are going with, and the server host name will be mentioned here. The client, whatever browser which I'm trying to access here, right? It gives through your user agent details. Okay. And what is the accept format and the encoding which they are coming with. All these details will go through your HTTP GET packet. What happens after that is client will immediately acknowledge it, saying that I'm trying to prepare the data, and then he keeps on placing some keep alive messages saying that I'm preparing the data for you, okay? Or partially the data is being sent, okay? You know how the TCP works, right? It works through segments. So as you guys would have seen in your initial three-way handshake, they have set up a small window size. According to that window size, right, that web page is being sent in a different chunks, multiple chunks, and this is your last chunk of data which your NetScaler is trying to send, or it's keep on sending it, and when your final chunk goes out, right, what happens is your client is keep on acknowledging the data whatever it is receiving. Once it has received the whole data, right, the web page, the client will send a 200 OK, which is very important. Okay. Now, when
Yes.
someone says that he's not able to look at, or he says that I'm not able to see my web page, right? The first most important thing is you'll see the initial three-way handshake. You need to understand if there is no issue here, and then you need to filter out with your HTTP packets. You need to see what all GET packets the client is sending, and are we receiving the 200 OK or not?
200 means okay, yeah?
Yeah, 200 OKs is your server response code, which, or sorry, the client response code, which says that, I have received your data, what you have sent to me, or basically this is a client response. Yeah. Sorry, this is a server response, which says that, I have sent you the whole data to you. This is what the data which you are looking at.
Okay.
Got it?
So my question is, so 200 OK will be sent by the server that
Server,
this is the
yeah.
data,
Yeah.
and how we know that the client has accepted all the requests?
You'll be seeing the acknowledgements for that. See, once you receive a 200 OK, right, you'll see a client acknowledgement for it. You see this?
Acknowledgement, yeah.
Yeah. Now after that, if he doesn't need any further data, right, or you would have closed your browser after that, after you have accessed that web page, right, what happens is client will do an graceful closure of your TCP session here. Okay. Now these are all the important things, which the reason why I'm saying that TCP header is very important to understand, and how does a three-way handshake happens, the different HTTP codes, HTTP methods, request, response, whatever it is. Please go through it. Okay. I will also have in our next session a very small brief about these things. Okay. How it happens. I will run a PPT for that PowerPoint presentation. Let me know if you have any further questions here, whatever I have talked here.
I like you said that every time we will do some configuration on NetScaler, we will do the Wireshark, right? Everything we will do, and this will be practical, right? We will be able to, so that we have a understanding.
Yes. Now I'll tell you what I'll be doing it here. Okay. Let's take an example of something called an LB-WIP configuration when you're doing it on a NetScaler. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, configuration is very simple. What I'll be doing it from my lab, right? I'll be deploying. I'll just take 2 web servers here. Okay. I'll be load balancing 2 web servers. I'll have a client. Okay. I'll have my NetScaler. What I'll be doing is I'll be deploying an LB-WIP here. Once I have deployed my LB-WIP, I will be configuring an server pool. Okay. Now, once I have defined the server pool, I'll be adding these servers in it. Okay. And when I access this particular NetScaler, right, and when it does that load balancing, I'll show you through Wireshark trace how the NetScaler is doing that load balancing part. Okay. I will walk you through how the client request comes and lands on the NetScaler, how the NetScaler is making a different connection to a backend server. When the packet comes back to the NetScaler, how does it detect when a multiple clients are coming? How can it give the packet back to the same session where it has received. All these things I'll be walking through.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me know any other questions on this. Whatever I have talked about, I can answer it. As this is a demo class, I'm just limiting myself to make sure what I'm going to teach in your further sessions.
I have a question like the, 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 the you have shared some screenshot about the NetScaler, what we are going to do. So it will be like global server load balancing. I think it's multiple site. Will it be possible to show all those stuffs?
You're talking
GSLB?
about GSLB?
Yeah. GSLB.
I can create it.
Oh, you
Not
can
an
do.
issue. Yeah.
Okay.
For the GSLB configuration, I can create it. Not a big deal.
Yeah. So whatever is given in the screenshot, every part will be covered. Yeah. It will be done in a span of 15 days. That is
It should be 15 days or maximum another 2 days. I can drag it out.
okay. And just want to know like how will be the class every day or like how is it going to be?
Every day except weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask from my end. I don't know about
No,
other.
no issues, no issues. Please free to ask me any questions here. If you think there are some, see, if you think the reason I'm customizing everything is I need to understand what exactly you know and how much you can digest. That's the reason why I have put everything in a very different way. Or the session would have gone through a proper PPTs and I would have just talked to you about how the initial things are happening here. That's the reason why I've skipped it completely, and I'm trying to understand or make you sure what I'm going to teach here.
And
Okay.
there is one request also, like in our like there are some requirements, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask that question, like in my company, like you must be aware of the vulnerability for the NetScaler that we are run. So in our company, they have give us a script. So I want to share it like once we are done with this all these things, like maybe in a different time. So I
Mm-hmm.
just want to know how it has been done because it has been carried out by some other team, by the NetScaler team. Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
just want to know how this works. Like
Mm-hmm.
they do the scan, IOC scanner, and
Mm-hmm.
once the scan is done, this
Hey,
they upload.
if you don't mind, all those things can be taken offline. Okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
I
okay,
can answer you offline because my main agenda is making sure to
yeah,
continue on the session and
yeah,
people whoever are there on the class, right, if they can
sure,
understand what I'm trying to say here.
yes.
Other folks, let me know if whatever the way I'm giving it right, the presentation. If you feel that this I'm not getting it right, I can step down. I don't mind it. For me, the basic sessions when I talk about this particular VIP configuration, right, and how uh, the proxying happens on the NetScaler, the TCP proxy or your application proxy, whatever it happens, right. Once you understand that, on top of it, we'll start going through everywhere. I can bet you on that. Once you understand that, right, after that, any of the things, for whenever I walk you through that, right, it will be very smooth. It will be very flexible for you to understand the other topics. Okay.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Let me know. Is there any other things you need to take or take care of? Any other things before your actual session starts? I also have more time on this particular session. Let me know. I can cover it during this time. Is there any other things which you are looking at?
Uh, like can you tell about the hardware configuration and all this like the basic standard
I have a
standard?
proper PPTs for all those things.
Okay,
You
okay,
don't mind it. I'll walk you through everything. How your
okay.
SDX is being, what models of SDX we have, what models of VPX we have, what or not a model of VPX, what
Mm,
model of MPX you have. When you talk
okay.
about VPX, where all can be it can be deployed. Okay, what is the best way of using these things?
Yeah,
I will walk you through the data sheets of each things. If I forget it, let me you please remind me. Okay, you need to understand how the data sheets have to be looked in because there are so many scenarios where people blindly deploy uh, the hardware appliance or your VPX appliance. Okay, and when it comes to performance, they're not aware, which is very very important to understand. There are limitations on your box, or there are limitations on your virtual appliances which you need to understand. I'll walk you through that.
That would be great. Thanks.
Any other questions, folks? See,
Could
before
you brief us which other topics will be covered in a complete span of the course?
I think I have already shared it, but let me walk you through which I remember. Okay, your load balancing, okay, and then your SSL offload, your content switching, your AAA part, authentication part, okay, and GSLB. You will also be covered. See, in these things there are different topics. These are the major things I'll be covering it. Okay. What else can I talk about?
Policies.
That comes in your content switching.
Okay.
SSL offload is there, content switching is there, GSLB is there.
Certificate management.
Different network related things. Okay, I will walk you through.
Monitors and all this troubleshooting part.
Everything will be covered in this load balancing part. All those things will be covered in your load balancing. SSL offload we will go through how you can create your certificate. Basically, how do you create your SSL certificate request on your NetScaler? How do you point it to a certificate authority? Once you have the certificate with you, right? How will you bind it? And during our SSL offload, what does it happen when the client tries to retrieve the data or the application from the NetScaler, right? When you talk about SSL offload, how does it happen? How does your SSL bridge works? Okay. And the most important thing tomorrow I'll be taking care is about your load balancing algorithms. Okay. You need to understand.
One more thing is that like we will be doing everything GUI and something with the command also. Like we will
I'm
be
more
also.
comfortable at CLI, but GUI is also it's very simple. Okay.
So you will show both of it, yeah? Like
Both of them. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
See, both of them initially I'll show it. Okay. When it comes till SSL, right?
Yeah.
You guys will be. I'm very sure you guys will be very much comfortable in using both of the things. Okay.
Yeah.
For your understanding, if you want UI to be taken care, I can take that. But CLI, I prefer it because on CLI you can understand a lot of things. Okay.
Yeah, it will be beneficial to know both of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that will be better.
I'll go through it. No problem.
Okay.
And what we will talk about different network modes here, and basically what all features we'll be enabling on the NetScaler and what each feature does it. Okay, how the caching works. What else? And whatever topics I would have given it on during when we met, right? All these things will be covered, majority in all these subjects. These are subjects, not the content, basic contents. Contents, lot of contents will be coming inside each topic here. Okay.
Yeah.
Very important. You need to understand this. This is very important because in the market, right? Most of the deployments which I'm seeing is people are going for NetScaler. The reason is GSLB is very effectively being used.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other topics which you remember? Let me know. I can put it here because
Yeah,
you are
so
already using.
yeah, but we using it, but most of the function is not given to us. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll walk you through that. I don't have that handy with me. There are everything which I'm going to cover, but even if it is something which
and
you
upgrade
think,
also you will show, yeah, how to upgrade and
yeah.
upgrade. and like when there is an issue happening after the upgrade, how to restore back to the previous version.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a very simple thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a simple thing, but
No, no,
if
I
you don't,
understand. See,
yeah.
you'll be saying that same thing to me
Okay, okay. Yeah.
in the middle of the session when I talk about anything about NetScaler upgrades, right? It's a very simple thing which you can do.
Yeah.
Not a big deal to understand. I mean, not a big deal because understanding these topics are very, very important compared to these things. I'll walk you through it.
Okay,
Never mind. Okay.
okay, okay. That's
I'll walk you through how to upgrade it through CLI. Okay. I'll walk you through how to upgrade it through UI. Okay. Uh, there is a separate thing which I don't want to discuss about here. Now people are actually discussing about automations, right?
yes, yes. In our like, it's a
I'll
big
give you a
area.
very low glimpse of it because I can't cover automation part in this particular course. But I'll give a very small glimpse about how to use your REST APIs. Okay. And did you guys have any idea about NMAS tool?
I know what is it like. It's a tool, like a management
Hmm.
analytics tool. Yeah, to understand, like it's a centralized management for VPX, multiple VPX. Is it like that or
Hmm.
something like to
Yeah.
understand? It's kind
To
of
give a basic understanding, right? There are scenarios in companies where you have almost like 50 to 100 NetScalers being deployed. Okay. And managing those instances is very difficult. Uh, so once you deploy an NMAS tool, right? Once you deploy an NMAS tool, what happens is uh, you have a better view of all the NetScalers at one particular instance. So you didn't need to log in into each NetScaler and do the activities. Once you have an NMAS tool, all your instances deployment, all your instances SSL certificates when they are going to expire, when how if you want to disable a service, you want to disable a LB VIP, right? You don't need to search your VIPs at each going into each instance. In your NMAS tool itself, you can search that particular VIP and disable it. Or there are a lot of activities which it supports. It also has a lot of orchestrations which can be configured. Okay,
got
so
it.
so I'll just give you a very small glimpse of it. Please, I just wanted to make sure I am setting the right expectations here. This is something which is not related to our course here. I'll just give you a very small glimpse
Yeah,
uh, about how these things work. If you guys are interested, we can have a different session for that. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm interested just to know about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
how it.
Okay. And I can promise you. See, if you are interested, I would suggest once you get an initial session about it, right? You can try it yourself in your labs. Okay. There are a lot
Yeah,
of things which you can learn by yourself once you learn all these things.
yes, yes, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Let me know. I can answer it in this session.
Just
So.
like since you set up the expectation, like
Mhm.
after 15 days of this doing NetScaler, you will be comfortable with doing the at least the basic things. Yeah, not the complex part. At least we will
I
be
can
much more.
say you'll be more comfortable in doing all those things, and you can also see the most important things. Yeah, I can talk. Okay, I can explain you so many things on the session,
Yeah,
but digesting that thing and coming back to me is very important. You digest it, come back
yes,
to me saying that this is something which I need to understand it here very clearly.
right.
That is how the learning can happen. You need to ask me so many questions. I don't mind it. Ask as many questions as it is possible for you. I can answer those queries. Uh, Let it be more like a session
Interactive.
where, yeah, interactive sessions where you can ask more questions to me, understand the subject, and wherever the configurations are there, right? You let me know if you have any problem, right? During the session, if it is not possible, offline sessions we can take and I can fix those things. Only in your lab, not your production things, okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But this recording will be shared like in a WhatsApp group or how?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, what I'll do is I have my cloud this thing with me. I'll share that cloud content to you. You just have to download it from my Google Cloud
Okay.
and download it every day if possible, because there is a limitation in that cloud, so I have to replace that content.
And every day it will be 8:30 to this same time. I am comfortable
That
with.
is the, yeah. I'm also comfortable, but if you guys anyone has any issue, and let me know if we can discuss that. That's very good what you have brought it here. If you guys are not comfortable with this time, right? We can discuss what is the best time we can utilize.
Yeah, from my end, you can ask others.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing. In case if I have any of issues from my office, right, and if I need to log in into any call, right,
Yeah.
we may have to postpone that session that day. Okay, please don't mind.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
that's
more
not.
important for me. Okay.
Yeah, that's not a problem. But you will cover it up. Yeah, later
Yes,
on.
yes, yes. See, this 15 days, whatever I'm saying, 15 days is a count. Okay. If it, if if any of the session which I'm postponing it, I will cover it in the next day, and that 15-day count will go on. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
No, that's from my end.
One thing from me, there is more into learning.
This is
If we
who?
want
Who is
this
speaking?
Aditya.
Aditya, right? Yeah, Aditya. Tell me.
Yeah. Will you be discussing the live troubleshooting scenarios? Because there will be more learning if we were to relate it to the production environment where we get such scenarios and then we need to know where to start and how to search.
Yes. See, that's what I said, right? See, when I'm placing this is live traffic. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sure nobody talks about these things. I'm sure they only talk about how your configuration is being done, how your NetScaler is behaving, but nobody talks about Wireshark traces with Wireshark traces. This is what we gives you the major pinch here, okay, on everything whatever you're learning.
Right.
Okay, and when you say production issues, I can take those examples on your session, but I can't show what is going in my environment, in my company's environment. No, I can't go through that.
Yeah, agreed. So in a lab environment only.
Yeah, I can mimic those things. I can tell you what happens during an issue time. What is the major things you need to look at your configuration, and in case, see, there are 100% 100 cases where I've seen configuration looks fine, or the initial part. If I say around, if I take an example of 100 cases, right,
Uh-huh.
70% of your cases are related to your configurations things. People overlook it because of human error. Once you do your basic sanity check on your configuration, right, if there is something which is not getting fixed through your configuration, right, you need to have these Wireshark traces. You know what happens with the Wireshark traces is, most of the times when you configure something and give it to the application team, right, there is a problem between these two guys, the server and the client.
Mhm.
So you need to educate them, tell them, this is not something a problem or a configuration issue with my NetScaler. I am
Okay.
seeing that your client is coming with this, okay, hitting my NetScaler, and my NetScaler is giving the same thing to your server, okay,
Mhm.
and I see the server is responding with this particular value, which is not correct. Once you point that, I'm very sure you'll not be an L1 or L2 guy. People will start thinking you as an L3 support, L3 guy, or where you're trying to understand how your application is also working here. Rather than blindly configuring something on the NetScaler, you're also pointing out to the or talking to your application guy. This is what your application is saying. This is what I'm seeing at my NetScaler. This is what I'm giving back to the client. Let me know what needs to be done from my end, because blindly you can't change anything. All the things depends upon the use cases of your application. You need to understand this guy a lot. Until and unless you don't understand your application guy, I don't think you can serve in a better way when you're working through load balances.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other people who are there on the call, right?
Yeah, this is Rupesh. I
Yeah,
have a
Rupesh.
request. Can we go through this TCP protocol later on as well?
You're talking about the Wireshark trace or
Not as a theory. You said that you're
sure,
going to
sure, sure.
cover.
I'm going to cover it. What I'll do is tomorrow session I'll walk you through basic theory of your three-way handshake. Okay. Uh, and a very small glimpse about your HTTP codes, and I'll be covering your load balancing algorithms, and we'll start configuring a load balancer whip. Tomorrow we'll do that session. That should be fine, or let me know if you want me to add anything here.
Yeah, yeah. TCP protocol header as well, right?
Or let me do one thing, okay? I'll try to give you. There was some website where we used to learn about that, which used to give a very good. Go through that content, okay? Before you come to me, right? I would encourage you today if you can just read about how this three-way handshake works, right? What it will help me is uh, it will help me in skipping the basic things and discuss the other things which you're not understanding through the content. Okay,
Sure.
just go through the three-way handshake. I'll also try if I have that websites where it was very basic, clearly been explained, right? That website I'll give it to you. You can go through it on the WhatsApp. I'll ping you that link. If you don't find that link from my end, don't stop anywhere. Browse on your network and internet and try to find out wherever you can learn it. I believe you'll have a lot of YouTube videos for that. Okay. Go through that, the basic three-way handshake. Okay. Once you can understand that, right? I'll walk you through the core and advanced things in it. Understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
you will also share a PPT for some like important topics, like all the
No,
PPTs. Like,
I'll not share it. No,
oh, okay.
because those PPTs are. I mean, I have to tell you that. See, I was part of Citrix earlier. I was working directly with Citrix, so that content is Citrix content. I can't share it.
Okay. Oh God.
If you don't have any other further questions, I will conclude this call today.
Yeah.
My cousin will follow up with you, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And regarding about the commercials and all those things. Once we
Sure.
have that
Yeah.
confirmation, we can start tomorrow's session. Okay?
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right then, guys.
And
Have a
but
great day. Yeah.
yeah, you. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, you had any question?
No. I'm saying that PPT not of Citrix, but certain PPT which is customized by you, like when you are training, like based on that, not the Citrix one.
I'm
The
not
one.
sure. I'm not sure on that. You have your recordings, right? Probably you can go through it, right? I'll try it
Okay.
offline.
Oh.
You can discuss about it. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. Right then.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Have a great
Thanks.
day.
You too.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah. Yeah.